Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 IOTF. My name is Alma Prelec. I'm one of the co-artistic directors of this year's festival, and I'm absolutely delighted to be speaking today with the creative team behind Insulted.Belarus by Andrej Kurejčík, which has been streaming throughout the festival and is available until June 4. So here with me today, we have the director, Oksana Mysina, and translator, John Freedman. John is joining us after having participated as well in last year's festival. So welcome and welcome back to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Absolutely lovely to have you here today. So for those of you who are watching at home and haven't had a chance to watch the play yet, this play film production was written originally by Andrej immediately following the aftermath of the highly contested electoral victory by Lukashenko in August of 2020 against Svetlana Tikhanovskaya. And it interweaves the stories of Tikhanovskaya and Lukashenko, along with sort of quasi-archetypal characters that represent different sort of sides and viewpoints of Belarusian society and the future of its politics. So yes, welcome to you both. I thought we might start with the first question, which is a wonderful story. If you might tell us, well, John, your relationship with Andrej and how the play reached you first.
Yeah. I've known Andrej for some time, you know, kind of tip of the cap, to use a Russian phrase really, a tip of the cap acquaintance. We knew each other. We would say hello when we saw each other. We weren't friends of any sort. I'd never worked with his plays. But when the revolution began, when the lead up to the election was taking place, I was following close attention, like most everybody who is interested in Russia. And I was using Andrej as my basic lead-in for information. He was posting enormous amounts of information, was posting comments, was posting interviews, was posting links to other things. So Andrej was kind of my Huffington Post for the Belarus revolution, election, and then revolution. And after the election and the revolution began, we got about what was it? It was about two and a half, maybe 3 weeks into it. And it occurred to me that I couldn't sit by just doing nothing anymore. You know, it's one of those things, you know, what do you do? How do you take part? And I thought, well, I'll get Andrej to write an article for an American journal and at least get Americans to see what's going on through Andrej's eyes. And so I asked Andrej if he would do it. He said he'd be happy to. And then I contacted American Theater, pitched the article with them. They were interested. I told Andrej, he wrote the article in a day. I translated it the next day, sent it off to American Theater, and within 6 hours it was up on their site, and it was read by a lot of people. It was quite an effective piece. And so that obviously kind of set up, I'm saying obviously, I don't know, I've never discussed this with Andrej, but I'm assuming that kind of set up a sense that he and I were working together. And so 2 weeks later, it was on September 9, I was sitting here working. Actually, I haven't mentioned this many times, but it's worth mentioning. I have been working on the idea for a new book for a long time. And literally on September 9th, sat down and for the first time began actually writing. 2 hours later, I get this email from Andrej saying, here's a play I just wrote. Maybe you'd like to translate it and we could try to get a few readings in the West. Well, I haven't gone back to that book since. 10 months later.
We got Andrej.
I've forgotten it now. I don't even know where I'd find it in my computer. And so I thought, you know, I realized this is something important. I called Oksana out. I said, Oksana, we've got a new play from Andrej. Let me email it to you. I sent out emails to 6 theaters and or friends in the UK, the US, and somewhere else, asking if they would be interested in doing readings. Within 10 minutes, all 6 said yes. And that made me realize, oh my God, I've got to sit down and translate the play quickly. I translated it in 3 days, which was way too fast. And the first version of the play was the translation was very, very rough. But it was something that everybody could look at and see and start working on. And by the time I was sending out, 3 days later, by the time I was sending out translations, we had 20 theaters on board in 4 countries. And I began to realize, oh my goodness, this is really something. And you know, I'm not going to go through every stage of it. We now have something like 180 events, 125 readings, 30 some countries, over 20 translations. You know, the worldwide readings project of Andrei's play has been absolutely astonishing. And so it's been a tremendous thing. We all feel as though we have made real contributions, although they're intangible. You know, you feel good doing this work. That's what I'm trying to say. For 10 months, I've been working very hard and work at times 14 to 16 hours a day. It completely moved everything else off of my docket. I feel good about the work. I wake up in the morning and I rush to the computer because I want to see what's happening today, what's going to happen today. Whether we've had any effect on anybody, you know, that's a whole different story. That comes 100 years later. Somebody will figure out that those guys were wasting their time, or they did something. We can't know that. But it was.
I was just going to say what's fascinating is this play is mirroring a political moment in that it's also becoming a movement. Is it not so? So it's, as you say, you received these 6 responses about under 10 minutes, and now it's these, you know, X number of countries all over the world.
Yes, and it's also now growing. I just want to point out that it's now morphing, and we are soon going to be doing Insulted. I'm not going to name anybody yet because the first place is a very contentious place, and everybody is going to be doing it incognito. So I will just say we'll be doing Insulted X, Insulted Pennsylvania, Insulted Chile, Insulted Nigeria. And as I say, the first step is already, plays are being written. So it is actually turned into a form and a forum for other people also to express their anger at the world that they live in. And that is really, to me, that is extremely gratifying. And when this begins to grow, I will be getting back to you guys to let you know more about it, because it will be quite interesting. But we should turn this over to Oksana now, because she was the first person to get the play besides me. It came to me.
I was just going to ask Oksana about this sort of timeline, and so this play reaches John, and I was wondering at what moment you felt that you wanted to put this on, and what was that process like?
Yeah. I will tell a little bit about our relationship with Andrei, because I met Andrei maybe 15 years ago first time. It was a theater festival in Minsk. And I was working with his little play, with his short play, with Belarusian actors on a stage of Kupala Theater. This is the main national theater in Minsk. And so I liked the play a lot. And I met Andrei, and he was 20 years old at that time, and he was charming and funny and great guy. And so we became friends like that. And during this period of my work, I had several interviews with Russian journalists, and one of them in my dressing room, in the middle of the conversation, he started whispering. He said, please tell somebody that our people are disappearing on streets, especially when they say something, especially when they say something about Lukashenko. Please tell somebody when you come back to Russia, tell somebody about it. And it was such a shock. And then he started, he was continuing our dialogue, but it was first time when I realized that something is happening, very serious, happening in this country. And second time when I came to Minsk, and it was a film festival, and I came with my rock band. I was playing with my rock band on the film festival, and was the opening of the film festival. We were waiting for the president. He had to say a few words, and we were sitting, thousands of people, and the actors, the directors, and a few thousands of people were waiting for the president for several hours. He was late, and we were sitting there and waiting for him, because it was he had a football game somewhere with his friends. And when he appeared on stage, it was a moment, the president is coming on stage, so people stood up, and I didn't. And my musicians looked at me, and I didn't do it, and so they were sitting too, five of us. And then, after it was all finished, one of the organizers came to me and said, why you didn't? I said, because in front of fascists, I cannot stand up. He said, but you have to think about it. It's not polite. I said, sorry, but it was my decision. And I will tell you that yes, of course, we were sitting with John when everything was happened at that particular moment in, was it in August? In August. But we knew that the revolution in Belarus was continuing during maybe 20 years. People wanted to do something because it was a fully dictatorship in the country. And people want to live, they want their children to grow, not to live in fear, like in Russia. And we feel a lot of connection between Russia and Belarus. And so, of course, for me, when I read this play, the same day that John gave it to me, of course, I thought, oh my God, it's beautiful, it's talented, it's very strong, and we need to do something. People has to see this somehow. And I was in the middle of editing my first films at that time. So I started just to call my friends in Russia. We are sitting here in Crete. We are not in danger situation, we are very safe situation. But a few years ago, John made its decision for us to come here because he felt that the situation is worse and worse in Russia also, according to political rights of the people. And I am always very straight, very emotional, and I don't want to shut up. So we are here. I am calling my friends. They read a play, and next day they were shooting a film. Next day we did all the shooting during 3 days. 3 days. One of my actresses, she was in Spain at that time. The others were in Russia, and they were just, some of them learned the text during night, and they were playing like in a film without text in their hands, but some of them were just reading the text. And so I was trying, then they sent me the material, and I was combining I was trying to do something to combine, to make a film. Strange, I mean, experimental, everything, but we wanted people to know about the situation, to tell the truth. This was our main reason,
Yes.
purpose.
And well, we were speaking before we started recording about how, well, first to say that what strikes me about the play is that it has this sort of the combination of hope and despair, or sort of both constantly playing with, with each other. And I know, John, you mentioned in another interview that the revolution is a sort of beautiful and terrible thing. So I think it's these contrasts that work into it. And I wondered, going back to what you were saying, Oksana, about getting this message out there in this story, and yet at the same time, how does the play reflect the moment that seems to not be coming, because there was this sense of the revolution, and then we have just recently the new case of the plane, and the incident with Prelec, and so there's a real need for the play. It's not something that we can file away. It's alive and it's breathing, and once more, no?
This is the confrontation between dark side of a human being and a light side. It's not just a political topic. Andrei is very talented, so he created. I think maybe in 100 years, people will think that he's a new Shakespeare of our time, because he found something that in different languages, in different countries, every artist find out view on things, new nuances, and this is just a play, but it's not just a play. It's a play. It's an ideas that are flowing in the air everywhere in our time. So this is a unique thing.
It's a very unique. Yeah, I wondered, how much this phenomenon that it's reached people from so many different areas and they're all interested in it. I wondered what you thought. Is it the play? Is it the current situation in Belarus? Is it the characterization of these people, a mix?
It was a perfect storm, of course. I mean, let's be honest. And one of the elements in this storm was COVID, because there was a whole world of actors and directors sitting at home, bored stiff. What the hell can I do? And all of a sudden, this play ends up in their email, and they go, "Oh my goodness, a play! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!" Somebody's asking me to do a reading, not get together at the theater and rehearse. Somebody's asking me to do a reading. We can do readings. Aha, Zoom. We can do readings.
So, this is a paradox, because I noticed that for artists, it's very good to find themselves in a situation when they don't have time to think.
Yeah.
They have to do. They have to. Their nature is opened, so they don't have to have time to to find some reasons to go back. You have to go forward, and this is great, because I think that the actors, my actors in my film, they opened a lot in themselves that they didn't know about these opportunities of their professional even approach. And for them, it was quite an experience also. And for me, like a director, also, I know that the director doesn't have to be so close to the actor. He has to be as far as it's possible. For the actor, it's freedom, and the freedom is everything that we need in this world.
Well, there was a super amount to it with this technological sort of rehearsing and so on.
Yes.
And so, I'll pick up, because that Oksana makes a point, which is an important one, that actors had the freedom, they were excited because they could jump into something right now without thinking about it, without preparing really. And then what clicked in then was the quality of the play. Because when they leaped in those monologues, because essentially it's a monologic play. It's a monologue that begins breaking, the monologues begin breaking up as you get about a third of the way into the play, but they never really turn into dialogue. There's a couple of moments where he does segue ideas in the monologues. It's never a case of two people sitting. That's not true. There is a time when Cheerful and Corpse actually talk. It's like that's extremely rare, and so he did a masterful job. Andrei Kurechik did a masterful job of creating this text, which really reveals character, reveals motivation, reveals social forces at work on everyone, and political forces, of course. And so those things, you know, COVID, everybody's ready. What Oksana pointed out, actors all thrilled that they can just jump into something without having to prepare and think about it. Then all of a sudden the quality of the play kicks in. And everybody's kind of going like, oh my goodness, this is good. And it was fascinating because I was getting the emails from people. You know, they'd start the work and then they'd be writing me and saying, oh my God, this play's incredible.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. We can't believe it. We can't wait to show our reading tomorrow, you know, in 2 days. This is amazing. Then the emails that come afterward, like, we want to do another one. We had like 5 or 6 or 7 theaters do 2, 3, 4. Arlequin Company did 7 because the play wasn't letting people go. I still have companies now who are coming back to the play. We did readings in September and October, and they're coming back to it now because it won't let them go. And these are all aspects of what made this thing fun. And I will just reiterate, Oksana pointed it out, but I want to say it too. I was getting emails from all over the world: Hong Kong, Nigeria, the United States, UK, other places, Chile. Well, it came from Mexico, but it was from a Chilean. Saying, my God, this play is about us. This play is about my country.
Yes.
One other marvelous little coincidence in the perfect storm was that this all started happening months before the U.S. election. So Americans, for perhaps the first time, at least since the Civil War, were worried that they might lose their country.
That's right.
And this play about people losing their country was, you know, it hit hard.
It was suddenly much more familiar.
I do think the archetypal characters have a lot to do with it. A lot can be read into them, and a lot is read into them. You know, I've seen, of the 125 readings, I've seen probably 122. I think I've only missed 3. I think maybe there were 3 that were not online, so I didn't see them. And vastly different characters.
And these were in different languages. These
are all in different languages. Yeah, there were tremendous. I mean, there have been tremendous readings from everywhere, but I do have to point out the Romanian marathon. The Romanian marathon of 16 readings in 16 nights in 16 different cities was absolutely astonishing. The Romanian theaters and actors were just unbelievable. I would be sitting here watching. Oksana was doing her work back in her studio. I'd say, Oksana, come out here. You've got to see this. She said, John, I'm busy. I can't. I said, Oksana, come out here. And she'd come out here and she'd go, oh my God, these guys are incredible. And she'd pull up a chair and she'd sit and watch with me the whole way through. The Romanians were astonishing, which is to take nothing whatsoever away from anyone else. The American theaters were extremely impactful. People all over the world saw American theater in a way they'd never seen it.
Yes.
Because there's a cliche which is either earned or not earned. We'll leave that to other people to decide. There's a cliche about American theater that, you know, it's kind of light stuff, you know, people sitting in sofas, you know, arguing over, you know, what aperitif they're going to have today. That's, you know, like it or not, there is that cliche, because that's all that's reached the world for many, many years. And people were astonished to see. You know, people were writing to me, a guy from Poland, Andrzej Moskvin, excellent critic and scholar. He said, "Oh my God," he said, "the American actors are unbelievable." And, you know, for him, it was an eye-opener. And so this whole project has opened eyes for all kinds of different reasons. I mean, I have to say it, it's been so rewarding. It's just unbelievably rewarding, you know? It's like I finally did something worth something in my life, you know? I mean, you really feel like that.
Speaking of those American actors, and well, just actors in general, I did want to ask you, Oksana, I was curious about, given such as, you know, this tight time frame and the digital realm that we're working in, what your process was like with the actors. And in particular, I was interested in, because you have Alexander and Anna on two sort of opposing sides, really, in a way. And if you had any particular work with them, if there was something that you didn't want them to do, you know, in terms of some sort of imitation, or what were your thoughts there?
Yes, talking about the role of Lukashenko, yeah. We didn't want Mustache to make a parody. Yeah. We wanted just his. I wanted Sasha. I know Sasha a lot. We were partners in the theater. Sasha Tapuria, the main character. Actor in my film, one of main characters. They are all main, 7. But he, in his age, right now he's in middle age. I knew him from his 20 years, so I know him a lot. And I wanted him to be himself, because he's a writer now too. He works with films and he is writing right now in this period of life. So I wanted him to be himself. And it was the first time when he didn't have to play, he was just reading. And he's clever, has this intellectual, yeah,
he is an intellectual.
He's an intellectual person. So
it was. I mean, there was something stunning about it. There's something so naturally sort of learned about his movements and the way he speaks, and then opening the play with this diatribe against theater. So there was almost a sort of shock between how he looked and how he moved, and what he was saying, which was very, very interesting to watch.
I think that he is he works like Marlon Brando in this role. I felt very much similarities, and I don't know how to express it, but it's very interesting because he was shooting himself on the phone, and he was alone, and he alone. Nobody was in the apartment. It was he, himself, and the phone. This play, and I think that something is happening when you are in front of yourself, like a second protagonist, like a mirror. When you are talking with no directions, with no nothing, you trust yourself. You can, if you don't like something, you just don't show it to anybody. You do it again and again until you are satisfied. You are satisfied, and I think he was worked like this. And and I wanted to point that I think the play is about fascism, and that's why it is so. Right now, it is so. How do you say it? Актуально, актуально.
Very timely.
Yes. Yeah, because what is happening in Russia now? Every day they're arresting people. Every day, every single day, we open Facebook. This guy, we know him. He has a Dmitry Gudkov, Alexei Navalny. They come to the apartments. They throw things. They cut the doors. They cut the doors to their sisters of wives of these people. Yes. Right now, today, and I'm worried about my actors right now because they played in this. I thought Belarus is not Russia. We love Belarus, know Belarus. We have a lot of friends there. But right now it looks like this is the same. This is the same. My actors were working on this film, brilliant, but I don't know. Maybe it's not time to speak about it on every corner because I'm worrying about them, their freedom, their children. See what is happening now. So this is a terrible situation.
It's really important, after Oksana has just said what she said, it's really important to say that Oksana and I have been together for over 30 years. We have been politically active for actually we started right at the beginning. We were out there calling on Yeltsin to resign. On Gorbachev, we were calling on Gorbachev to resign. We've been politically active since the very beginning. We've been extremely politically active ever since 2010. We have put ourselves in harm's way. Oksana's film career has been destroyed.
Not destroyed.
Well, no, it's not destroyed because you're just going to turn it around and show them how to make films. I know that's a different story. Her as an actor, she has for 10 years she has been blackballed, never have we said maybe we shouldn't say something about this. Oksana always goes out, and she's always been one of the leaders at the protests. She speaks out, she gives interviews, she does videos, and on and on. And literally today, because clearly in Russia, a major move against the opposition has begun. They pulled a guy off an airplane today. Just like they didn't let the airplane get in the air, but they turned it around on the tarmac. You don't think that was a sign? They could have arrested him in the airport, but they didn't. They let the plane get on the tarmac before they turned it around. And several other people's houses were raided today, were arrested. There is an enormous crackdown going on in Russia right now. It is connected to the what's happening in Belarus. Putin is scared. He's terrified, and he is now adopting Lukashenko's tactics. After Lukashenko adopted Putin's and cranked them up one, now Putin is, they're going to do this competition thing. And for the first time, I've never heard Oksana say maybe we shouldn't say anything. I've never heard those words out of Oksana's mouth. We've never spoken them before. And I pointed out just because that is reality of the day, today, that we are living in, because things are really, really getting bad.
This is very different to talk, to say this in our kitchen. And not to do something and not to speak. In Russia, in Soviet Union, people were speaking, talking on their kitchens, all the truth.
Well, we have spoken out, not just in our kitchens, though.
But from one moment, we discovered that in our kitchen and in other rooms in our apartment, they know everything about what we are talking between each other. When we realized that, for 20 years, we were laughing. We were talking with the walls, with the bugs, sometimes. And they knew that we know, and we knew that they're hearing us. But a few years ago, John said to me, I'm tired. I don't want it anymore to play these games. Let's let's do something with it. But talking about ourselves, we know that that is happening in Belarus. That is happening in Russia right now. It was it started during Soviet Union period, and we thought that with perestroika, everything stopped and we changed our life, and we live in a democratic society right now. But right now, it was going back to the Soviet system, where people didn't have a right to talk. And this is incredibly, I mean, it's so awful, and
Yes.
I'm against it. This is injustice.
Yeah.
I hate injustice. I hate, yeah.
Yes, and I think, go ahead, John.
We take injustice personally, both of us do. It's part of our DNA. You know, we see injustice anywhere of any kind, and we take it as a personal affront. It makes us want to do something. It makes us want to respond.
Well, just going back to what you were saying, I think there's also this injustice isn't just plain hijackings or elections. It is, that's what we see, but there's also the quiet disappearance of voices that disagree. So in terms of careers and so on, and so, you know, you don't see a blacklist. You don't see it in the way that you see a headline. So I think that's very important to talk about, because it's sort of hidden, there's a mystery about it. And in that sense, I think it's also, you know, it's very brave what you've done and what the actors have done, even though of course there's the sense one must always speak and so on, but it nonetheless is not something that's necessarily without consequences.
Right.
So I think
Absolutely.
We who watch it.
And unfortunately, you know, you should say a few words about Leah Khidjakova, the 82-year-old woman who plays the 18-year-old Cheerful in the play, and she does it absolutely brilliantly. I'm just gonna, I'll lead in with this because I've read this. Oksana has said this elsewhere, and Leah asked Oksana, she said, "How do you expect me to play this teenager?" And Oksana says, "Leah, the character's name is Cheerful. You are the epitome of cheerful for all of Russia. You the symbol of cheerfulness for all of Russia. You don't need to do anything. You just need to be yourself." And she was absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. I can't imagine anybody. I simply can't imagine any single person, except there's always some crazy. But beside the one crazy out there, I can't imagine anybody having any questions about 82-year-old Leah Khidjakova playing that teenager. She's just absolutely spectacular. But she can
play everything, all the characters. She's one of the biggest Russian stars in the theater, in the avant-garde theater, classical theater, and in film. People love her. She's a leader of human rights struggle in Russia for maybe 30 years. She's very known. She's known. She can see the camera and say everything with such sense of humor, with her own. Yes, and everybody just Leah Khidjakova. I take off.
Yeah.
She was during when we were working, she was calling me, "Are you finished? Are you finished? We need to show it as quickly as we can." So I didn't sleep. I was trying to do it. John said, "Did you sleep today?" I said, "We have to finish. We have to finish. I have to do it, and we have to show it." And one of Russian oppositional channels, they helped us a lot. Immediately they said yes to I called the producer, the main producer, Natalia Sindeyeva, and she said, "Okay, our journalists will send you our videos every day from Minsk." And they were risking their shooting and send us the real scenes from the
and that real the footage that we see. which is real.
Yes.
And I did actually I had a question about the staging, about how the decision was made to combine this footage of the protest, and then we have the sounds of the honking, and then this rather more lyrical music and the images that we spoke about earlier of Creed. How did that come about?
First of all, you said about music. We have a very good friend of ours. He's a pianist player, and he started first time in his life. He never did anything like that. So for him, it was such an experience also. And he wrote music. And yes, we were shooting on Crete because I wanted it to be more than a documentary story. I wanted it to mythological aspect.
You wanted to bring out the mythological side of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was trying to combine sky, летящие облака. Я начала по-русски.
Clouds flying through the air. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this is one of the things that Oksana does in all of her work as an actor. She's done it. She does it in all of the films that she's made. She's now made 4. She mixes things. You never just get a straight genre with Oksana. If you think you're going in one direction, all of a sudden she's going to catch you up and turn you around and send you in another direction.
I want to break the rules.
She likes to break the rules.
Which is very good.
We both love breaking rules, and you know, somebody even at one point said, you know, why is Crete? Why is Crete in there? It was one of the actors, and I've forgotten who it was now. And it was like when they saw it for the first time. Then when they saw it when the film was finished, I remember them writing back and saying, "Oh no, I take it back now. I see what's going on. It's you know, it's a mood. It's a lyricism. It's a humor. There's certain things jumping out of the Slavic world, by jumping out of Belarus, by jumping out of the actual story and opening it up and widening it and bringing in essentially the world, or as Oksana sees it, because we see things differently, you know, bringing in the world, and particularly this world with its mythological backgrounds. We were shooting an old Minoan throne. I don't even know if people really notice it, but there's a point where Lukashenko is kind of really starting to get tough, and Oksana fades from Lukashenko to this stone Minoan throne.
Yes.
And it's, you know, that's funny. Every time I see it, I laugh. You know, for time immemorial, we've had these the same problem.
One is born, as I said in the film. Yes, a leader. Yes, right on the throne. Well, I think speaking of, that's a good sort of way to close in terms of all of these different sort of topics the play is raising. I mean, where would you like for it to go next? I mean, what's interesting about Insulted.Belarus is that it's representative of our times in a way. It's a play that's been performed more online than it has been, if I'm correct, right? Or more with social distancing than in the same room. And in fact, the way that, but it really lends itself to that, doesn't it? Because of the characters speaking to the camera. So I imagine that in the staging anyway, they would be breaking the fourth wall.
Well, I'll tell you what, in some of the more imaginative readings, and this, I'll mention specifically a couple of the Romanian ones, Bulgarian, Yavor Gurdjieff, Poland, and I wish I could, Jan Powotsky, I hope I'm right in saying, I think it's Jan Powotsky in Gliwice, Gabriela Tuminaita in Vilnius. They, even though they did Zoom online readings, I mean, these are stunning performances that completely wipe out all of the barriers and rules of film / theater / Zoom. They just go. I mean, people's fantasy, you know, people's imagination was freed. You know, by coming off of the stage. Everybody's used to working on the stage, and by coming off of the stage and working in a different medium, it's like everybody said, "Ooh, I'm going to let the juices flow," and everybody did, and astonishing the different things that we saw. So when those things come back to the theater, and many of the theaters did readings, want to do readings once COVID limitations are lifted. And I will just point out that Arlequin Players in Boston is one of them that has said they plan to do a production.
That's right.
Many of them in different countries, I have a feeling they're going to come to that, you know, they're going to come to the production that they end up doing in the future. They'll come to it from a point they would never have come otherwise. They've already been through fire with this play, and they've seen how it can unleash their imagination. So I really expect some fascinating productions. I hope there won't be fatigue. I hope there won't be fatigue.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. It's a concern of mine. But you can't keep everybody interested in the same thing forever. It's not possible. I do know.
Well, I was just.
I'm not.
Sorry, John. I was just going to say, I did have a little look at I had to look at the Harvard students that were performing the play as well, and you know, different things come up. Different. It's radically different. So.
Oh, absolutely. There's productions in which the mentor, the teacher, is the lead character. There are more often than not cheerful is a lead character. But there are places where other people they just step forward and just take over. It's you know, it depends on what's happening in the mix of the work. Yeah, I wanted to say something I forgot. Now it doesn't matter.
And I just wanted to add that my dream is to see, because the play originally the play was written in Russian, but our team is right now the only team that can and could and did this because of the situation. And I would like to see it on big stages in Belarus, in Russia, when people will think only about art and only about art, and they will be free, and we will see hundreds beautiful, strong performances about fascism, loudly talented and all of that, because Russians, they love to rehearse for years, 2 years, 3 years, and they want a masterpiece to be shown on the audience. So I'm hoping and I'm dreaming about this.
Yes, let us cheer to that. And
yes, thank you very much.
And I just want to point out, just for the sake of correct facts, there have been at least 2 other readings in Russian. The Arlequin Players did a couple of readings in Russian. Theater Novy Most, yes, Theater Novy Most did a Russian version in Minneapolis. There's going to be one on my birthday, June 18th, from Berlin. There's going to be one done in Russian in Berlin. The reading in Israel, I believe, was in Russian.
In Ukraine also.
Yes, that's right. There were several. Well, several of the ones in Ukraine were done in Russian. That's correct. What I think what Oksana was meaning was that, you know, hers is that film so far is the only kind of end product that continues to exist and is there to speak to people over time. And nobody in Russia, well, in Belarus, of course. But nobody in Russia still. I mean, when we talk about the Russian ones, we talk Minneapolis, Boston, Kherson in Ukraine, Kiev, Tel Aviv. No Russia.
Yes. as they say, declaring our missions. Well, before we close, where would you recommend, John and Oksana, so someone that was looking to see many different versions, other than searching for them individually, you have a database, is that right?
I have that database, which is a really good thing. I'll send you the link if you don't have the link. And you can put that up. You can put that up, and all of the links. You can go down the list of all of the theaters and all of the.
China. Oh my God.
The Chinese readings are astonishing.
Oh my God.
We'll put the link in the description box below. So
they did in English. They did in Cantonese. They did in Mandarin. There's going to be one in Cantonese again soon. Absolutely stunning, and they're just reading. And yet there is something about the music of the Chinese languages and approach to language. It's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I'll send you the link. You can actually let people go to that link. They can scroll down and pick what they want if you want to do that.
Great.
However you want to do it.
We'll do that. We'll do that directly, actually.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both so very much. Thank you, John. Thank you, Oksana. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, Alma.
Thank you.